You want to know how to make it? All it takes is one shot to become a legend of the game, to cement your legacy, to stand among giants. All it takes is one shot. Will you take it?
You're now watching Vindo.
Hi, I'm Coach Vindo, aka your #1 source on all things basketball. Yeah, you could ask about anyone I know and they'd tell you that I know all about sports. You don't believe me? Take a look at my badge. They don't just hand that out to anybody. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I played basketball professionally for my elementary school in 1st through 3rd grade, which equals out to maybe dozens of hours of basketball experience. Which is why I'm qualified to tell you today about March Madness. But first, let's clear the elephant in the room. Obviously, I have more basketball experience than you and your dad combined. So let's start by explaining what is basketball. Basketball is a sport invented by one of our founding fathers, Shadow the Hedgehog, at the turn of the last century.
Shadow basketball!
The objective of the game is simple. You have two teams on a long court thing, and they are trying to put a ball into the opponent's hole. It's not a sex thing. The game involves the art of dribbling, which is bouncing the ball, and shooting, which is throwing the ball into the basket-shaped hoops. Now, this is where you could go wrong and throw your ball into your own hoop and maybe get a point for the other team on accident. Which I totally didn't do, and totally didn't get kicked off of the team for. Anyway, the sport was later popularized by the hit Disney Channel original movie, Luck of the Irish. Give me the ball! So you thought this wasn't gonna be a St. Patrick's Day video also, but you were wrong. The sport is known and played throughout the world and is very popular here in the United States of Ambrosia. But now that we are clear on what basketball is, what the heck is March Madness? This is where we have to get very serious with this video. March Madness is an illness that ails all college basketball players from March 1st at least until March 31st. Is there 31 or 30 days in March? March 31st. This ailment, sometimes also known as crazy legs, sweeps college campuses throughout the springtime. March Madness finds its way into basketball players because they have specific neurons that the disease attacks and fires off, causing the basketball players to run and dribble uncontrollably and just want to play more basketball. While this disease may be rough for them, it's great for us because we exploit the heck out of it. We set up an entire tournament for all of these basketball players affected by March Madness to shoot as many hoops as they want to. 68 college basketball teams, all affected with March Madness, are selected to compete in this massive tournament, but 4 of them don't matter, so it's actually 64. And this leads us to the main point of this video, the March Madness bracket. The bracket is how you predict the outcome of the single elimination March Madness tournament. Now, there are many ways to select your bracket, but I have a foolproof bracket selection strategy that I've been using for years, and I will teach you today, but we'll get there in a moment. The main and maybe most common way to select your bracket is by taking a look at the seeds. Now, what are seeds? Well, obviously seeds are what you use to plant a tree. And now you know how the old saying goes, a green thumb is a good thumb for basketball. It's common knowledge that every college basketball player also has to take a gardening course. March Madness is split into 4 divisions, north, south, east, and west, and each division is ranked on how many trees that basketball team has planted. The teams are ranked on a scale of 16 to 1, with 1 being the most trees planted, and probably the most good at basketball. The next method is also very popular. It's a method I like to call the food chain method. This involves selecting teams based off of their college mascots. You take a look at each opposing team's mascots and rank them on who is better on the food chain in the animal kingdom. Let's take, for example, the Kansas City geese versus the Atlantic City marmots. Obviously, the golden goose always gets its egg. The goose is gonna win. Done, on to the next one. Some of these matchups are easier than others because some of them don't really have an animal mascot, which in that case, you need to just imagine who would win in ritual combat. But what if it's the Greendale human beings versus the Vindo University Opie boys? The next method I'll talk about is a little bit of a controversial one, but one that works nonetheless. It's a randomizer. You can press random and it'll just pick for you. The final method I will now talk about and demonstrate my own personal method, the Vindo method. Now, some of my longtime viewers may notice I'm not wearing glasses right now. I typically wear glasses. I do need them to see, but I do not need them to practice this method. The Vindo method does not require sight or knowledge. It just requires instinct. I'm going to demonstrate it to you right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's select my bracket together. Here we are, the Vindo method. As you can see, it might look more zoomed in for you, but for me, I can guarantee you, I can't really read most of this, which is perfect. That's the way we want it. So let's do the first half of the bracket right now, starting with what I assume is the South Division right here. We've got two teams. One looks like a compass, maybe, and this one looks to me kind of like, it's blue, it's got a little white streak on it. That could be the NCAA logo. NCAA does put on the entire thing here. And a compass is very important because a compass always points north, which is a bad thing because we are in the South Division, assumedly. So we are going to go with NCAA. They put on the bracket. Good for them. Next, we've got Mario versus Wario. Of course, we're going to probably have to go with Mario on this one. He's the main character. I honestly don't even know what to make of this one. I don't know, that's maybe like a Blue Jay versus a Pokeball. I assume you could probably catch the Blue Jay in the Pokeball. We're going with the Pokeball. Maybe like a diamond? Is that like a diamond on display? Versus a shining star. You can find a reflection of a shining star on a diamond, so we're gonna go with the diamond. What is that? Is that a xenomorph? Is that an alien? Versus an empty pint glass. I think we all know that xenomorphs from Alien drink a lot of beer, so they probably would succeed in that battle. We've got two rings linked together, and then a UFO. And now this one will decide who goes up against the alien from Aliens. And I think I would like to see the combat that would ensue from saucer aliens going up against xenomorphs. So we're gonna go with the saucer aliens there. Alright, we've got the beaver from the brand of horseradish versus what appears to be a cup of coffee. This is a tough choice for me personally. I do enjoy horseradish on my prime rib, but I equally enjoy a cup of coffee, and it is more common that I would have a cup of coffee than I would have a cup of horseradish. We've got the letter A versus the letter P. Well, the letter A comes first in the alphabet. Let's go ahead and finish out this division down here. This one is trickier than I thought. This is NCAA, so they're like the owners of all of it, versus Super Mario. This is the question of the day. Can Mario beat a corporation? But he kind of is a corporation on his own, isn't he? This is really, really hard. I'm gonna go with my boy Mario, I think, on this one. Super Mario stepping on the competition. He stomped the NCAA. We've got a Pokeball versus a Diamond. Is there a Diamond Pokemon? There's probably a Diamond Pokemon. I think the Pokeball wins, though. We've got the Xenomorph versus the Flying Saucer. Okay, this is another tricky one because, you know, a Flying Saucer can beam you up. But a Xenomorph, they're gonna put a alien baby in you, which is really, really scary. So we're gonna go with the Xenomorph because I don't want an alien baby in me. A cup of coffee versus the letter A. Coffee, though, all the way. Super Mario versus a Pokeball. Mario's not a Pokemon. Next, cup of coffee versus Xenomorph. Do you think that we could stop a Xenomorph simply by offering it a cup of coffee? I don't think in any of the Alien movies there was a moment where any of the characters had offered a Xenomorph a cup of coffee. I think That's probably all that we needed to do. Cup of coffee wins it. Now we've got Super Mario versus a cup of coffee. This is where it's going to get real difficult. This decides who wins the assumedly South Division. Oh, Super Mario. I'm sorry. Okay, now we are moving on to... Hold on. I want to say this is the North Division, but there's no way that that's true because I think this is a T at the end. Oh, this is Midwest. Is there not a North Division then? Listen, I'm an expert. Okay, here we go. If I squint really hard, that looks like a 1.5 symbol versus a turtle. I'm gonna say a turtle is more vicious than a 1.5. Turtle wins this one. That's a lizard versus a penguin. That's 2 comic book villains. One from Spider-Man, one from Batman. My allegiance lies with the penguin. I'm sorry. Played by Colin Farrell now. And he was Danny DeVito one time. This is some flag, right? Versus Pegasus. This is kind of like a Matador situation, though, because you're waving the flag at the Pegasus. Pegasus wins, right? The Pegasus is going to take down your flag. Okay, now we've got the literal devil versus a telephone. I think the devil could probably beat a telephone if I had to guess. Is this the letter I with 2 buff arms on it? Versus NCAA again. Either they have 2 very similar logos, or if there is not a logo available for the team, they just put the NCAA logo there. Is that what's happening? Maybe. The NCAA just has secret agents inside of each of these divisions. But the buff letter I might take it. Ooh! Now we've got the X-Men versus piece of Aztec gold down here. The X-Men, because they've got Wolverine. This is an actual basketball hoop versus a belt buckle? Or no, that's an eyeball. Oh my god. That's Sauron. That's the all-seeing eye. We gotta let Sauron go through here. Barbecue restaurant versus the letter C. Barbecue forever, baby. Alright, back to the top. We've got turtles versus penguins. See, if this was a mutant turtle, then he might have a case. We're going with the penguin, though. Pegasus versus the devil. No offense to flying horses, but I think the devil gets it. Oh man, this is kind of like the Incredibles versus the X-Men, isn't it? I'm gonna go with the X-Men because that's just a buff letter I. That's not their logo. An eyeball versus a barbecue restaurant. I'm assuming this is the Longhorns, right? They gotta make barbecue. We've got the devil versus the penguin. Many of you would probably assume this would be an easy match for the devil, but that's where you're wrong because the devil does not have a bunch of trick umbrellas. So the penguin moves forward. Oof. X-Men versus barbecue, though. I like barbecue more than I like the X-Men. Okay, that is our Midwest division. Oh, wait a minute! The penguin versus a plate of barbecue. This is hard for me because I really like Batman, I like the penguin, but I really enjoy a rack of ribs. Barbecue moves forward. Alright, we've reached the halfway point in our journey. We are now moving forward to the east section. Now we've got, is that a P or an F? I'm gonna go with an F for Foo Fighters. We've got the Foo Fighters versus the NCAA. The power of rock compels you. We've got a monkey versus a candelabra. Chimpanzee can rip your face off. They're going next. The letter D versus a snake. If One Piece has taught me anything, it is that people with the letter D in their name are going to win. So D moves forward. Now we've got the letter T versus ESPN, the entire channel. That's a lot of people employed at ESPN. I'm gonna move ESPN forward there. This is the United Kingdom. I don't know what they're doing in this bracket. This is an American thing. I think therefore they're automatically disqualified, right? So we're gonna move this boot, this cowboy boot ahead. That's like a purple otter versus a stork. I'm gonna give it to the purple otter. I like the color purple. I like otters. One time I was having a beer and looking at a river. I watched an otter go by and he waved at me. It was a good time. So I'm gonna give that to the purple otter. We've got like a Spartan versus like a cocktail with like a little orange on the top. I think a Spartan could probably beat crippling alcoholism, hopefully. So we're gonna move the Spartan onward there. It looks like we've got a cup of coffee here versus a crocodile. Listen, I love a good cup of coffee, but the death roll is a thing a crocodile can do. Crocodile's moving forward. F That's the Foo Fighters versus a monkey. If there's anyone who could survive a chimpanzee attack, it'd be Dave Grohl. He'd become friends with the monkey because he's the nicest person in the world. The letter D versus ESPN. ESPN, you made one fatal mistake. And that is that in your collection of letters, whatever they stand for, you did not include the letter D. The letter D is moving forward. Our cowboy boot versus our purple otter. I mean, come on. Purple otter. Trojan versus crocodile. This is Sparta. The Spartan moves on. Foo Fighters versus the letter D. Sorry. D is for Dave Grohl. Foo Fighters move forward. We've got the purple otter versus the Spartan. This is where I have a conflict of interest here, because clearly if you put a Spartan in front of an otter, the Spartan would likely kill the otter. But I don't like that world. I want to live in a world where the cute otter overtakes all, and he teaches the Spartan a lesson about friendship he didn't know he needed. So the purple otter moves forward, but I'm sorry, purple otter. Foo Fighters. Okay, prepare yourself for one of the last sections of the bracket, the West bracket. We've got a toucan versus a black void that gives me crippling anxiety. So we're gonna go with the toucan. This looks like actual roadkill versus the letter I. I win that one. This is the worst matchup. What I am looking at here is the worst of all of these. I can't even discern a dumb thing to make either of these things. We're gonna go with this one, because if I really try to make something out of this, it's at least something. There's something here. I don't know what this is. I don't know what your logo is. We're going with these guys. That's like a husky versus a heart. Must love dogs, right? Must love dogs. That's a purple thing that says POW versus the NCAA once again. The color purple is gonna take it. POW. Got the Bulldogs versus the color purple once again, but I just voted for the color purple. Can't do it twice. Bulldog. We've got the letter N versus a horse. Just say no to horses is what I always say. So the letter N moves forward. Then I don't know what that says, but this one down here, this looks like the Jazz Cup from, you know, the Jazz Solo Cup design, so that's moving forward. Bird versus the letter I. Bird. Down here we've got almost undiscernible slingshot versus husky. Husky. The word POW written in purple versus a bulldog. Bulldogs are one of my favorite kinds of dogs. Moving forward. Now we've got a large letter N versus the Jazz Cup logo. The letter N is in my name, but Jazz Cup logo is in my vein. So there we go, Jazz Cup logo. Bird versus dog though. Huskies are great. I love huskies, they're great dogs. But for me, they're too big. I think that I am much more comfortable letting a jungle bird win this and making me think I can be sipping on a Mai Tai. Bulldog versus the Jazz Cup logo. I just made a dog lose, so I'm gonna make this dog win. Also, this doesn't look enough like the Jazz logo for it to make it this far. So, but now we're back to bird versus dog. This might be one of the most important decisions we make this entire time here. Random number generator. Let's figure out. Oh, heads. That's Jungle Bird. Okay, congratulations, Jungle Bird. You were on top, so your heads. Jungle Bird moves forward. I'm so sorry, Bulldogs. Don't tell my future dog. Now is when the big decisions happen. We are at the final four. Here we go. We're going to decide who takes home the entire cherry pie. We've got Super Mario versus the Foo Fighters. I didn't think this was gonna be this hard. Okay, Super Mario, he steps on turtles, but Dave Grohl is literally the greatest musician of all time. We've got Super Mario, who is a plumber, who eats mushrooms, versus my entire favorite band. I'm gonna give it to Foo Fighters. That is confirmed to letter P. What have I done? Alright, this is Barbecue versus Jungle Bird. I gotta go with this Jungle Bird. I truly think that the Jungle Bird represents more innocence and fun, and I really hope it doesn't betray me like the letter F just did. We're going with Jungle Bird. It is a bird! Okay, here's the problem though. I feel like since this letter P I thought was an F the entire time, and I based its success on it being the letter F, I feel like it's gotta go. So, congratulations, Jungle Bird. You win it all. But I almost forgot. We do need to put in a tiebreaker score. Total combined final score is what we need. We're gonna go with 68 to represent the 68 combined teams. Rest in peace to those 4 that have fallen. We did it! That is the Vindo method. Ladies and gentlemen, we have decided my bracket. If you would like to try my method, I highly recommend having the worst eyesight possible and zooming out your browser, or maybe looking at it on a smaller screen, so that you can really kind of have the experience of looking at a strange little symbol and deciphering what you can from it and letting that decide your bracket. I feel like that has always worked well for me. If you try out my method, please let me know. If you enjoyed watching me decide my bracket, please leave a comment down below. Who do you think is going to win March Madness, and how quickly do you think they'll find a cure for the disease of March Madness? I hope that it's soon. As much as I do love exploiting these players for the tournament, I do think that their health should come first. It's a little bit messed up that we do this every year. Alright, little bit of an update here. It is about 1:30 on Friday the 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day. The video didn't come out when I wanted it to. I wanted it to be earlier in the week, but that's okay. Here we are. But I figured I would take this opportunity to check my phone and take a look at where we're standing in this March Madness bracket using my patented technique, which you can use when you select your next bracket, whether it's March Madness or any kind of bracketed tournament. Let's take a look. Look at all those red X's. X marks the spot. I am crushing it. I'm so happy that I've found this technique and I'm sharing it with you so that you can reign supreme in your next bracketed tournament. Thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing. I'ma love you, I'ma miss you. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.
You're now watching Vindo.
Next time, join Vindo as he trusts the fungus. Will he survive his trip to Dino Hatton? Find out next month on Vindo.
You're now watching